Welcome to Loving Beyond the I Do podcast. This power couple is building stronger marriages one day at a time. Talking about real issues on love, relationships, and marriage longevity. Let's break down the barriers and engage in healthy conversation with your hosts, Jason and Tina Marie. Take a seat and buckle up because things are about to get real.
Loving Beyond the I Do podcast
is produced and sponsored by
LegendaryRelationship.com.
All things marriage,
all the time. Hey, welcome to the show.
Welcome back to all of our viewers.
Yes, welcome to Loving Beyond the I Do podcast
with your hosts,
Jason and Tina Marie.
That's me.
Welcome to episode number 54
of Loving Beyond the I Do.
All right, Tina Marie, let's get into it. What are we going to talk about this week?
Well, actually, I recently just came back from Miami.
Yes.
Okay, and I met 4 wonderful young ladies. It looked like they had been friends for years, so I guess they were probably having a girls' trip.
Okay.
So, and I wrote down their names after they told me, but for some reason, I don't know where I put it. So, shout out to my 4 young ladies that I met in the Miami airport. So, you have conjured up, or what you were the reason for this episode today. And if you guys happen to listen to it, because all of them subscribed, please drop your name in the comments so that I can give you guys a shout out. All right?
All right, wonderful. Taking the show on the road and grabbing folks, huh?
Right. So actually what happened was I was standing there waiting to board. And for some reason they were talking about intimacy. So this episode, and
So you were ear hustling.
No, actually, I was standing there talking to my son, and it tapped on my shoulder, and it was like, hey. And I was like, hey. And I was like, what is that?
Something's pulling at you.
Right. And so I said, well, since we're talking about intimacy, and so we just had a real brief conversation. And I actually, it was wonderful because intimacy is a huge part of a relationship, right?
Yes, it is.
What people don't realize is that there are different levels to intimacy, and there are different types of intimacy.
Good, better, best?
Well, when you break it down like that, that could pretty much sum it up, right? So how's your intimacy? It's good. How's your intimacy? Hey, it's much better.
Right.
How's your intimacy?
Man, it's as best it's ever been.
Exactly. So it could be those 3 things, right, when we sum it up. So this episode is about some of the things that can break down intimacy in a relationship.
Right. And
so we know that we've heard over the years, and even for those of us who are in relationships, that somewhere along the lines, intimacy starts to wear thin, starts to break down. Like sometimes
get a little dull.
It can get a little dull, or it can be non-existent.
Non-existent.
Right?
Okay.
So, in thinking about that, pondering on that, it made me think about some of the things that add to that. Okay. So I was thinking, like, if we could discuss some of the things that contribute to breaking down that intimacy between 2 people.
Okay, let's go. Let's definitely get into this.
All right. So the first thing and that I would like to talk about is a major part of what breaks down intimacy between 2 people is negativity.
I have to agree. Negativity. We'll do it. Now, is it negativity towards the individual in the relationship that you're in?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The person themselves. So and what I mean by that is that we all have those things that we don't like about our mates, right?
Right.
So things that you do or say or act or whatever that puts a certain type of feeling into your mate.
Right.
So there's this such thing as nonverbal language, right? So
So I've heard.
Right?
So,
So you can tell my body language. I can tell when
things are bothering me, and I can tell when things are bothering you.
Right?
Yes.
So I do something, and you don't say anything.
But I should sure act a certain way.
And
I react to it.
Right. And I know that it's a negative reaction, so which lets me know that your thoughts are producing what type of thoughts towards me.
Negative thoughts.
And so
and negative feelings.
And so what happens when we think on negative thoughts and negative feelings? Just to explain to people. So in this conversation, I'm just trying to get people to understand that in a marriage, in any relationship, if the person you're in the relationship with, you have at any point in time a negative thought or feeling towards them about whatever, that's part of the problem that helps to break down intimacy. And we don't contribute that to
right. Because it's hard to feel if I have negative thoughts and negative feelings, it's hard to feel loving towards you.
Right. Or you don't see the fact that you're putting more negativity towards that person.
Right.
And so it's kind of pulling you apart instead of pulling you together.
Oh, exactly.
You know?
Right.
So
so you saying that's something that we should be mindful of?
I'm saying anytime that you, for any reason, have a negative thought or feeling towards your mate, that negative thought or feeling is now being planted in your mind.
Yes.
And it's going to continue to grow.
Right.
So every time that person does that or says that or reacts that way,
those feelings and that emotion comes back.
And so what happens when you do something and I have a negative response to it? What do you think you do?
I get upset as well because I can feel that you're upset with me for whatever reason.
Right.
I didn't do anything wrong, and now I feel like now you're upset with me for something that's kind of like maybe out of my control that you don't agree with.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So say you have to do something, and this is what you do, and I've expressed to you before that I don't like it.
Right.
But yet you do it, and so I don't say anything, but you know immediately when you do it or say it,
right,
you can tell by my body language how I'm feeling about it.
Or like if I have a friend that you don't particularly care for.
Right.
It's like, man, you don't really need to hang out with that person or talk to that person because that person is kind of negative or whatever. Right. And as soon as I pick up the phone, you get this funny look on your face.
Exactly. Yeah. And that look is connected to a thought and a feeling, right? So our thoughts and feelings are what connects us to our mate. So anytime we harbor any type of negativity towards our mates, that is going to play a major role in how I feel connected to you. How you feel connected to your mate. So in solving this issue on the lines of intimacy, that we have to recognize some of the things that break down that intimacy. Right. And even though there are many.
Yes, it is.
Right. The one I want to focus on today is anything that is negative towards your mate. So lots of times we don't say it. And that's the worst kind.
Okay.
The worst kind is thinking a negative thought towards your mate, and that's anything that's negative. Whether you say to yourself, man, I hate when he do that, or you just get upset because you know you don't like something, or you make a comment in your mind, or you make the comment with your body language. Anytime that you feel or think a negative thought, that's a time that you should really stop it.
Okay.
And then think about why it is you feel that way. Right?
Okay, so stop it in midstream. Like, okay, I feel this way. You pick up the phone. I don't want you really talking to this person because they, they're kind of negative or whatever.
Right.
I should adjust the way that I feel about that situation or towards you or both.
Or both.
Okay, both.
Because,
right.
Well, see,
because really, I don't really have a problem with you. I have a problem with the situation.
Right.
Right. But then I'm taking it out on you or us because I'm bringing these negative emotions and negative feelings about you and into the situation.
And so what's really happening is that I'm connecting a negative feeling with you. So how can we be in a positive, intimate relationship if what's between us or what's connecting us has a negativity vibe, right? Right. So part of solving the issue in marriage and breaking down the barriers in marriage is to ask ourselves, why am I feeling this way? And what part do I play in feeling this way? Right?
So you're saying that if I feel this way, then I'm playing a part in it.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Yeah. Don't you think so?
Obviously, yes, because I'm actually creating this negative link between us, right? So I need to pay attention to the role that I'm playing in this, and maybe I need to look at it in a different light. So then I won't have this negative link. Right. Because the negativity lasts way after the telephone call is over. Right. Right. And it grows as this phone calls continue to happen or whatever the situation is. I'm just using the phone call as an example. And if you talk to that person multiple times, each time the negativity grows and grows and grows and grows, and it doesn't help our relationship.
Okay, so let's talk about what we need to do. So,
Gotcha.
all right. So the first time that you have a negative thought towards your mate for any reason at all,
Gotcha.
the first thing that, in talking to our viewers out there is they should stop, right? Stop right there in midstream.
Start with that negative thought.
Right. Recognize what you're doing and ask yourself, why am I having this negative feeling?
Right.
Like, really, let's get to the root of the problem, right? Why am I having this negative feeling? And then we should talk about it. So if you and I are talking about it, then we can, lots of time people don't want to discuss things that bother them. I know.
Of course.
I know for a reason. Like, you don't, sometimes
Yes.
when things bother you, you don't like to discuss it.
Right.
Okay. So why do you feel like you shouldn't discuss it? Why do you usually not? Sometimes when things are bothering you, you feel like you just want to suppress it. Why do you do that?
Because if I talk about it, I feel like at times it could make the situation worse. Or I now have to verbalize all of these emotions that I have, and I may not want to do that.
Right.
So it's like, I don't like the situation. If I talk about it, it may make the situation even worse, or my emotions towards it. So that's probably why I don't like talking about it.
In us figuring out ways that work in our relationship, would you say that the more we talk about things, the better things get?
That's what has proven to be in the past, yes.
Right, so,
as we talked about things and overcome things, the whole situation became better, yes.
Right. So I think that when we're talking about what people do is that we suppress those feelings. And what happens is that when you suppress the things that are bothering you, they build up. And if I'm building a foundation, right? If I'm building any type of foundation, if it's not love that I'm building, then I cannot have love. So if I'm building a foundation of negativity, and that negativity about what I feel about this situation and that situation and this situation, what we're doing is that we're now putting those negative feelings inside of us, and we're building a foundation of negativity. So even though this is the person that I love, eventually they continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. And now we're wondering why that bond of love is not there anymore. No. Right?
Right. So the best thing to do to resolve issues is to really talk about them.
We have to talk about the issues that are bothering us. If we don't talk about them, then what happens?
They just grow on the inside, and that link between us just becomes bigger and bigger and more negative and more negative.
Right. So they fester. Most people think that if I keep it to myself, it's the best thing, right? Because I don't want to argue about it.
I'll keep it to myself, and I'll get over it, and things will be better.
Right. So that's what we think. That's what we think in relationships, because
how's that working out so far, right?
Right, exactly. Because we may have told our mate about it before. We may or may not have.
Right.
So if we told them about it and they're still doing whatever it is that bothers us, now we've added more onto it. Now we've added more negativity, because I've already spoken to you about it, but yet you continue to do whatever it is, X, Y, Z, or this thing that we discussed still bothers me. So now I'm doubling how it used to make me feel before, right? Or what we're not talking about it because I don't want to talk about it, because for whatever reason I feel like it's better if I keep it to myself, and now it's all within me. So that's not going to help our relationship, because what are we doing?
Right, because I don't understand what's going on.
You have no idea why I'm upset, why I'm feeling what I'm feeling.
I have a general idea, but I think it doesn't make any sense that you're upset for this particular reason. I should be able to talk to whomever I want to talk to,
or whatever it is, whatever it is, right? Whatever,
or watch whatever movie or however it is. It's different situations in each individual relationship, but believe me, there are situations. So
and 9 times out of 10, they're generally the same, right?
Yeah,
we have an issue with something that our mate does for whatever reason,
right?
As my sister-in-law say, what would my sister-in-law say? What issue would I have?
You don't have an issue with me.
Don't bring what?
I'm not gonna bring up that plate.
Right.
I knew where you were going. I was trying to stay away from the plate.
Right. So we know that I've discussed that issue before, right?
Yep.
So then I have a choice to either discuss it with you,
right,
and let it go, or I can continue to let it bother me every time I see you, or every time I see the plate.
Right.
But every time I see it, if I'm feeling this type of way, I am now creating, emotions and connections of negativity and hatred towards you instead of love and emotion and gratitude.
Every time you see a plate?
No.
Okay.
Every time I see that plate,
Okay.
that spot.
And that spot, okay.
Right. And so that's where we have to recognize that in solving this, and solving this, so you guys have to excuse me. So in solving this intimacy divide, we have to discuss the things that bother us. Because if we don't, we think that pushing it down and suppressing is the best thing. But the best way to solve any type of relationship issues, one, is to bring them up. Because we have to bring them to the surface to create a safe space between us. Right?
I think that's the key right there, safe space. It has to be a safe space.
And so what do you think? So tell the people, so how do we create a safe space in a relationship? So what are some of the things in creating a safe space?
I think you should have a conversation just like, hey, look, I want to be able to say this, and I really don't want to get into an argument. I just want to air out, and I just need you to hear me out. I just need to be able to be free and say what I want to say without any type of argument. If I can say that and get it off and you receive it, I think we'll be better off. So, again, safe space. Let each other be able to say what they need to say.
And I think before we do that, before we bring that issue to our mate that bothers us, the first thing we have to do is ask ourselves, what part do I play in this?
Right.
You know,
I think you should lead with that in the safe space. Like, look, I know that I'm playing this part. I know that you don't like when I do this, and I know I do this a lot.
Right. So, and I think if we take a step back and we ask ourselves, why does this issue bother me? Right. So it may not be what your mate is doing,
right,
but how you view it.
Oh, for sure. It's always just a perception.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So if I ask myself, if it's something that, you do that bothers me, I have to stop and ask myself, what part am I playing in that? Like, why does this bother me so much? Why am I so annoyed by this? And why am I connecting negative feelings with it? If we stop and analyze our part in the negativity, the negative feelings that we feel towards our mate, then we can kind of shift the perspective, shift the way we look at it, and now say, okay, well,
that means you got to take some blame.
We have to.
You have to take some blame because you playing a part, and you have to be real about this. Look, I played a part in it.
And I think that's where people go wrong.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They don't want to put the blame on themselves, right?
No,
they just want to think it's right. So we always think that it's our mate's fault. Well, he does this, she does this, they do that.
Exactly.
But the thing is that it's not what a person does, but how you receive it, how you perceive it, and how you move
and how you react to it.
Absolutely. So we know, from way back in our podcast that we had to, in our relationship, we had to make sure we understood how we reacted, right?
Right.
That was the biggest thing.
Right.
We didn't know we had an issue in reaction until we actually looked at, like, wow.
Our reaction stinks.
Right?
Right.
So when I react to something, before I react, I have to evaluate it. I have to say, why is this bothering me? Like, really, why is it bothering me so much? Is it really what he's doing, or is it something that I have? Is it an insecurity within myself?
Right.
Is it a problem that I had previously? Is it something that,
or is it just something within you?
Right.
That keeps coming up, whether it be in the past or whatever. It could be just you dealing with something, and then when you see that, it creates a problem, and the other person is sitting on the other side going, "Why are you tripping? What's the problem with this situation?" So, safe space will kind of take care of that. You just have a conversation, an open conversation.
And the thing is, once I realize why it bothers me and what part I play, then I can effectively come to you and communicate the issue that I may have, and then we can resolve it together.
Yes.
And then now we're creating a bond of positive emotions instead of negative emotions that I have suppressed and now built that bridge of negativity every time this situation happens. So if I'm not breaking, and the thing is that intimacy breaks down over time.
Sure, it does. It's not one incident. It's just a combination of multiple incidents.
So now it's this thing that he does. Now that I have a negative feeling.
Chipping away at it.
Chipping away. Anytime in your relationship that you have a negative thought, feeling, emotion towards your mate, you have to nip it in the bud. Otherwise, it will grow, right?
Yes, it will.
Just like love grows, negativity is one of those things that once you let it in, it's like those weeds. It really spreads extremely fast.
It sure does.
And we don't even realize, we don't even see it. We just think this is part of life. We don't even realize that the part I play in feeding into that. So every time, the first time I plant that seed. So the thing is, it's just like your lawn, right, with the weeds.
Yep.
Now we got to get in there. We got to get the tool, and we have to really dig them up.
That's right. All the way down to the root.
Yeah, we have to, because this is what breaks down. I mean, like I said before, there are numerous things that we do that breaks down intimacy.
Right. And we're just talking about one for right now.
Right. So it's the negative thoughts and emotions that I connect to you.
Right.
And then how am I supposed to love on you?
It's hard. You can't. If I feel negative about you, if I have this negative link and we're together, and now I'm trying to love on you, it's difficult. It's just extremely difficult to feel two different type of emotions about the same person.
And what happens is that over time, because that negativity grows, we don't even see ourselves growing apart. We're just in the same space, going through the same motions, and not realize. And then we think that it's the norm. Right. So our relationship is now mechanical. There's no love. I mean, we still love each other genuinely, but there's no in love. There's no love of that person. We're just pretty much tolerating each other.
Right.
So, if we want to continue intimacy, we have to recognize the things that break down intimacy and then revert them to the opposite. So going back to the plate, right? I know you hate the plate. My sister-in-law hates me mentioning the plate.
Oh, the plate? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's a perfectly good example, right?
It is. Because you didn't brought it up just about in every podcast, so we might as well just go ahead and address this plate problem.
Right, because actually the plate was the what do you call it? The breaking point, the aha moment for me.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So when I shifted my perspective, or perception of the plate, and now I can laugh at it, but now I recognize that, yes, I would love for you to move the plate instead of dropping it here when the garbage is right there. You know, I can connect a feeling of love for you,
right? And
now that negativity is no longer building in that space,
and I can feel that it's not building,
right?
And sometimes when I set it down, I go, you know what? I need to just move this over here, right? Because it's not like, oh man, if I leave this, she's gonna be tripping and she's gonna be upset for days or whatever. It's
the thing was, before, if I had a negative reaction to it, did you even really care? I think you.
I did. I mean, I did and I didn't.
It's right.
You're like, you know, you're gonna move it. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna move it. Yeah.
And, probably if I leave it there, she's probably gonna say something.
But now it's like, you know what? Let me just make sure I move this.
Exactly. Right. So it's the replacement of negative thoughts with positive thoughts.
Right.
It's the replacement of negative feelings with positive feelings, right?
But then it also helped me to just say, you know, let me do my part.
Exactly.
You know? She wouldn't get upset if the plate wasn't here. Now the plate's not here, she don't need to get upset. And now she's looking at it differently, making me look at it a lot different. So it made the relationship better. So, you're changing the way that you're perceiving it, and I'm just saying, look, boy, move the plate. You know
and the thing is that we have to create within our relationships a place of sacred security, which means that I have to feel safe enough with you to be able to share my emotions and my feelings with you, and not worry or be concerned with the fact that you're going to come back in a more what do they call it? Retaliation. Right. So I don't want you to feel attacked. Right. So when we
I don't think either one of us do.
I don't think
anyone in a relationship does.
And when we do that, when we connect negative thoughts and feelings to our mate, and when we try to tell them about something, the person feels that they're being attacked, right?
Oh, for sure.
And that's not very effective.
Right.
That's why we have to step back and say, what part did I play in this? Right. What part did I play? What part can I play? How can I change this situation? How can I express my feelings to my mate or my spouse so that we can heal this? The whole point is healing.
Right.
We can't heal if we're not talking about it. We can't heal if we can't see why this makes us feel a certain type of way. So the only thing I can say to people who may be in a space where you feel as though right now there's no real connection between you and your mate, take a step back and start one by one. I wouldn't say tackle all of the things,
No.
but think about and recognize and be aware of.
Right. When it comes up, understand that when it comes up, be like, this is that situation that they were talking about. Yeah.
Right.
You were a little bit upset, and now you have that negative thing
Right.
going on.
Right.
Take a step back.
Yep.
Reevaluate the situation. Reevaluate how you feel, and then see what role you played and how you can change it around and look at it in a different light.
Because if I just come to you and approach you and I'm just like blurting out how I feel, why do you do that? Because you're going to, in turn, retaliate back, right? And
Yeah.
so now we're going to
Well, you do this.
Now it's
so
gonna
if I do
escalate.
this, that's okay.
Right. So now
Yeah.
now it's going to escalate. So now you haven't stopped the negativity. You've actually increased
Right.
the negativity, right?
Now we're going toe to toe now. Right.
Yep. Now I'm even more upset.
Right.
And that's that.
Tit for tat.
That's that constant compound
Oh, yeah.
that we're doing, right?
Right.
So
We're
it's
not
like-
even chipping away. We're just pounding on at this point.
So it's like that compound negativity, right?
Right.
So you get today's, and then you add tomorrow's, and then you add next week's, and we know what compound it means, right?
oh, yeah.
Compound,
It's
baby.
growing at
Yeah.
a rapid pace.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so if we can recognize just one thing in our relationships, for everyone who is listening, right?
Right.
So today, anytime you feel a negative thought, feeling, or emotion towards your mate, please stop. Stop right there in that moment, recognize it, be aware of it, and then ask yourself, what part did I play? What can I do to see this in a different light? Let me, sit back, let me sit back, calm down, or reevaluate the situation,
Yep.
and then discuss it with my mate. Even if you discussed it in the past, because now you should be discussing it from a different angle.
Right,
So
right. Because
you-
now you're not saying that the other person is wrong. You're looking at what you've done, how you viewed it, and from
how we can
a
grow
different
from it,
perspective. Right, yeah.
Now how we can grow. So the
More of a you're trying to resolve the issue
Right.
versus point and blame.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if in resolution comes healing.
Mm-hmm.
So when something is resolved, it's no longer an issue.
Correct.
And if you no longer have that issue, now you have healed from it. Now the place, excuse me, now the place where there was negativity is now a place open for you to fill that back up with a way to reconnect with your partner.
Right.
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 So, and once we shift our mindset and become aware of this, things will totally change.
Mm-hmm.
The things that once divided you, you will now find new ways to come back together and fill that space with a space of let's get to know each other again. Let's now
Let's love again. Let's touch. Let's hug. Let's be mindful of each other. Let's be respectful of each other. All of those things that really brought you guys together in the first place. But like we said in the beginning, that negativity has chipped away at it.
yes.
And we don't
Even a
even
little
paying
bit,
attention.
Even a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Any
And
little
after a
thing.
while, it's just you have this big void area between you all.
And we think that thinking negative thoughts about our mate is a natural thing. Right.
Yeah,
What I mean by
yeah.
a natural thing is that we think this is supposed to be the way it is. So we don't even recognize the fact that
Right,
this is
it's
something
harmful.
This is something that's harmful,
Yep.
and it's something that's actually dividing us. We don't even think
Right.
we get into that everyday regular routine.
Yeah, but see,
of-
it's a little bit. It started out so little that it's not a big deal. But then you add up over time, and then you got this big old wall sitting here between you two.
and for those who let it constantly compound, when things do come to the surface, it's a pissing match, right?
Oh, yeah.
You did this, I did this, you did. Why do you do that? Why do you do that way? And then we go to our separate corners and nothing is resolved.
Yep.
And so when you go to your separate corners, actually what you're doing is that's still festering inside of you.
Right, because
So-
now you have some negative energy, I have some negative energy, and it's just
because
building
negative-
up in the center.
Absolutely, because negativity, just like positivity, it grows. There's an
Yep.
energy around it. I don't have to say a single thing to you for you to know when I'm feeling a certain type of way.
Right,
My
whether
body
good or
language-
bad.
My body language will express it.
Yep.
My looks,
Your
my
action,
emotion,
reaction, all of them.
absolutely.
Yep.
So when you're giving out a negative vibe, people can feel that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Your mate can feel that. Who's going to combat a negative with a positive? Usually no one.
Right.
Because
Because if you're throwing out negative, I'm giving it right back.
right. Or you don't want to be bothered with it. You get upset for no reason. Now we're not speaking.
Yep, fine. I'm going to the other room. You deal with yourself. When you get yourself together, you come talk to me.
So when we become aware of being able to recognize what it is we need to do, then we can move forward, right?
That's the only thing we have to recognize. Once we recognize what we're doing, then we can move forward.
Absolutely.
But that's like self-reflection, right?
Absolutely.
We have to understand we both playing a part in this relationship, right?
Yeah.
I've done some things, or I feel a certain way. I bring in my emotion. I bring in my energy, good or bad at times. And once I can own up to my part, then we can grow, and then we can heal. I can heal.
Right. Yeah. You can heal from the situation.
Exactly.
Which prevents the situation from happening.
Right. And then that way I can constantly chip away at that wall, knocking stuff down. We have to undo a lot of things that we've already done in our relationship. We've already built up a lot of stuff.
Ding, 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 ding. We have to, in order to get intimacy back, in order to get the love that we once had from the beginning, we have to become aware and then chip away at it. We have to stop doing the things we've done for the past 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 5 months, 10 months, 20 months. We have to reverse, right? Like we say, reverse aging.
Yeah.
We have to reverse the negativity.
Yep.
And in order to do that, we have to, one, become aware and mindful that the fact of this is what plays the major role in us being detached from each other or being separated. And once we do that, it all starts with us. It all starts. So
it sure does.
Even if I get upset with something that you do and bring it to you, is not going to change until I change my view of what it is that bothers me, and then express to myself, well, Tina, why does it bother you? How can it not bother you? And what do you need to do to heal from it? And then bring that to you in a manner in which you can receive it, whereas I'm not throwing it or coming to you in a very negative way.
Exactly. It's about now I need to receive it in the right manner.
Absolutely.
So, you see it the way that you see it, and then I need to receive it the way that I need to receive it in a positive light. And that's something that, that's why I'm always saying you always have to work on yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because just because I'm telling you something that I disagree with don't mean I'm coming at you or I have a problem with you. I want to argue about it. No, I just really want to make the situation better. And how do I do that? One, by talking about it. But I need you on both sides to see what role you played in. So your perception on the other end, you feeling upset, you come to tell me about it, my perception on receiving that, and what role I'm playing in it and how I'm going to receive it. So we both have a part to play, whether we're upset or not upset, or we're on the receiving end or not. So just be mindful. Either way, you're in this relationship, you have a role and you're playing it. So just be mindful of that.
So, because I know when you usually in the past, before I grew, right? Before I grew, when he would tell me about certain things that he didn't like or that was bothering him, when he did talk about it.
Ooh, that's a couple of shots right there. Pow! Okay. Yep.
I thought they were going to go over your head.
Nope.
Okay.
Gut
All
punches
right.
like bam.
All right.
Okay.
So, but now we're in a space where when he's coming to me, I have to stop feeling like
Attacked.
Yeah, he's not attacking me. What we have to realize is that we're both on the same side.
Yep.
And we all have flaws, right? And so, what I feel like I have the right to do doesn't necessarily may give him the warm fuzzies. So we have to stop feeling attacked. We have to be open and receptive to what makes our mate feel a certain type of way. And then we have to make sure that when we do approach our mate, we do it in the right manner so that it's not creating more negativity, but more healing. We have to bring it up and talk about it in order to heal. Only way we can get past certain things and chip away at, the divide between us is to make sure that we're discussing it. And in the right context, in the right way, to build more love.
Let's talk about it in the right way. Let's receive it in the right way. Let's bring back the love.
Absolutely.
Let's kind of minimize this negativity. Let's recognize the negativity. Oh my goodness, I done tripped over that word 3 times. Negativity in our relationship, and when it shows up. Yeah, I'm over here mixing, right?
Right.
Yeah. So let's recognize it when it comes up and let's deal with it. And let's chip away at it one by one, right? So when you get those ill feelings and you have that ill energy and attachment, let's deal with that one situation. One
situation at a time, right?
That's right.
So we cannot knock down everything in one day.
Nope.
So it has taken days, months, years, whatever, in different situations for us to feel divided, feel not connected, where the intimacy really has broken down. And not only are we not able to communicate effectively every day, but we're not even like, some people don't even feel comfortable with just touching their mate like this, like, right?
Yeah.
So we sit
and
in the
you're
car.
just touching my hand. Yeah.
So if you can take away one thing from this conversation today, and that's in any relationship, and I mean any relationship, let's stop the negative thoughts and feelings that we feel towards the person that we love, right?
That's right.
Let's be aware and mindful that negative brings more negative. Positive brings more positive, right?
That's, man.
And multiplication.
It seems so simple, but go ahead about your multiplication.
Right. I was just going to say a multiplication, a negative times a positive always gives you a negative.
That's true.
So, and a positive always gives you a positive.
It gives you more intimacy.
Gives you more intimacy. And sometimes if I recognize my negativity and you recognize your negativity, not mine.
Right.
I'm not recognizing yours. And
right.
You're not I'm recognizing
I'm owning my own.
I'm owning my negativity and you're owning your negativity. A negative and a negative gives you a what?
More intimacy.
Those good, bad, and better.
Yes, it.
Ooh, we
we're on the other side of better.
So let's constantly keep moving up in our relationships. And in order to do that, we're breaking down the barriers one day at a time. It took us time to get there. It's going to take us time to reverse what we've started. Okay,
right. We're learning. We're learning as we go along.
Absolutely.
We're gonna progress in our relationships. We're gonna make our relationships better. And how do we do that? We have to learn to love each other once again.
And it's not hard. Once we recognize the things that we're doing and the part that we're playing, we can get back to bridging that gap.
Yep.
Right, and coming back together.
Right. That's what it's all about. Bridging the gap. Right. That's what I'm talking about.
Bridging the gap of intimacy. One intimacy. There's different levels, but this is the one we're talking about.
This is the one we're talking about today. We're going to talk about other
negativity.
Nope.
Don't feed into negativity. And we have to make sure that we are aware when we are doing it.
That's for sure. All right. So I think that's
Anything else
good.
you want to add to the people today?
No, I think we had a good talk today. And, since I since I dealt with some of my situations, don't you feel like our intimacy is so much better? Yes.
Are you asking for intimacy? It look like your face. I don't know, but absolutely.
All right.
I think we are as we learn and grow.
Yeah.
We're connecting more, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we want. We want to keep the connection and keep the love alive.
And I'm going to tell you now, it's better if you go ahead and deal with them little situations to get your relationship where you want to get it to, because you want your intimacy to be as strong as possible.
Absolutely.
But it takes time. And it takes effort. It's not just going to happen. You got to play your part. Recognize where you make your mistakes. And a lot of time, get your pride out the way.
Absolutely. We don't realize the work we're putting in that's negative, right? People say, oh, having a good relationship is work, and it is.
Yeah.
But we're doing work regardless.
Yep.
We don't realize the work that, right. We don't
or you're tearing down a building, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Because just like before you can build a new building, you got to tear down the old one.
Yep.
Same thing in relationships. So we are doing the work. We're just doing the wrong work. If we're tearing down our relationships, we cannot have a great relationship with a firm foundation. We have to tear down the old one, recognize the things that we're doing, see the ruined part in what I played, right? And then build back up the right way.
There you go. That's it. All right, well, let's get out of here. I think we've given the people a lot to think about. And pay attention to your relationships. Pay attention to your emotions. Pay attention
to your thoughts.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. And I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
I said think good thoughts. And that way your relationships will be stronger.
All right. Only think positive things.
That's right.
What we think about, we bring about. All right? And as always,
we're in it to win it.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Lovin' Beyond the I Do podcast. Head over to iTunes to subscribe and leave a review. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Legendary Relationship, or visit our website at legendaryrelationship.com. Till next time, remember to make every day count.